Today's show is sponsored by Indie Film Hustle's Filmmaker process. We provide filmmakers with professional services to get their films or series funded, finished, and distributed. For more information, go to filmmakerprocess.com. Back real quick to the first day on set for Boondock, the first one. You first time you're directing, right? First time you're on set. You've gone through hell and back to get, I mean, more than most filmmakers, because making any movie is hell at almost any level. But you really have a documented journey of hell and back. So you're there on your first day, dude, and you're working with, amazing actors. How do you feel, man? How do you take it on? Are you just relieved to get going, or are you what is it?
Anxious to get going. But by that point, I mean, I had grown up with this sort of East Coast mentality in terms of you go out there, you put in your day's work hard, you earn your money,
Right.
So I was gonna earn this. I realized how much time and money we had. I was keeping my eye on the ball, and what I did was just get through that day as hard as possible. And that first day is where I started to earn the faith of my cast and crew.
Right.
I remember this one time going up, and I was going on set. I was stopped by a PA and told that I couldn't come out. He had no idea who I was. I had overalls on. I didn't blame the kid. He wouldn't have known. But once we had a nice funny got our coffees in us, it was like get to work.
Right.
And I realized, maybe from sports and playing things like hockey and stuff, and how you can deal with actors is almost like a coach deals with players in a lot of ways. But just know you're each individual player. Guy like Defoe, he liked to get inside of a room and feel the spatialness of it, walk around, mumble his lines, and I would always kind of clear everybody out and give him some time, and then we were able to riff. And this is a guy you approach, you're about to get something out of him that's going to make what you had on the page way better. Maybe when I'm dealing with the brothers, sometimes it's just like a coach psyching you up for the big game. That's what they need in the moment. So, I guess I'll probably go into that on my upcoming disastrous social media thing. But I'm going to start doing videos and telling those stories. But when an actor walks off feeling like they just got something good, they just did a great job, and they're walking on air, they just simply begin to trust you, and everything goes smooth from there. And when guys that have been you say your key grip in this business has been in the business forever, and the guy is a legend. Ours was. And he knows great directors, and at the bar that night after day one, if he's going, hey, I just signed off on you with everyone, that you're getting there, Right. And then it just started to ramp up. By the time we were done shooting, nobody wanted to go home. Everybody wanted this film to continually shoot.
Like a series.
Yeah, turn into a TV series. Screw the movie.
Right.
Just keep it all here and shooting, because we were all having such a fun time. And all the way from an actor to wardrobe people to hair people to food people, they all saw almost instant gratification for their work right there on set, because they were invested in the characters, and they were invested. This new guy, David Delarocco, they didn't know who he was. And the wardrobe ladies cried just off set when they watched his death scene. And I remember coming by, I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Didn't realize what was going on. And they're like, no, it's fine. And they were actually hurt that he was fake dying on screen, Wow. And that one of those moments where you're like, ooh, what the fuck is happening here? What do I have here? Because that doesn't happen, No,
it doesn't.
And a lot of other things like that. There's so many stories that I have to share with the fans who have been waiting a long fucking time.
So I got to ask you, though, man. I think you kind of touched upon this earlier, man, that, you obviously are an accomplished filmmaker. You're obviously a good storyteller and a good director. You've made two, almost legendary mythical movies that people just adore, who've done big business. Why haven't there have been other opportunities. Why haven't there been other projects? Are you still leaning? Is it still a spillover from the Harvey blacklist bullshit, or is it just, or is it the doc? I'm just curious.
Yeah, everybody's all upset about what I did to Harvey.
No.
That poor man.
That poor
him like that. No, it's definitely documentary still haunts, and I think that was kind of looked at as I made the cardinal sin of letting them backstage and airing Hollywood laundry when it wasn't really me. I think it's also a lot of misunderstanding. Like, oh my God, that maniac. What's happened? Is he all right? Is he even doing anything? But like I said, there are my pockets of fans. So yeah, this whole thing has affected me. It has not necessarily put me in the best light at say I'm not popular with the Chicago Police Department. There are places where I'm not popular,
Sure.
and they don't want me around them or their projects or anything. And then there are other places where there are guys that were turned fan, right out of college that are now running some big shit, and they're like, Duffy, get over here. Right. And so it's gone up and down. I'm gonna try and turn myself into a movie making machine. Good, over the next bunch of years. I feel I've accumulated enough knowledge and experience in this business to really be of value. We're going to start out, hopefully with part 3, which we can talk about in a minute. But in terms of other projects, yeah, I have been writing my ass off with a whole bunch of stuff. 2 I'd like to mention in particular. One we're trying to put together during this COVID time because there's an opportunity potentially in Australia. One of my dear friends and producers, something we already pulled one off during COVID. I didn't even tell you about a guest house. Boom, Pauly Shore, our boy Pauly Shore. Yeah. I wrote and produced it with my friends Sean Bishop and Sam Macaroni, who directed it. And we were the #1 comedy in America on iTunes. We were number 7 on iTunes. It's like this thing that happens quiet. If all this hadn't been happening, it would have been like on Fallon.
So it's like God. I can't walk the streets in Bulgaria. I can't. I mean,
I'm big in Japan, bro.
I'm huge in Japan. I can't walk the streets of Japan.
So it was this zany movie. We did that, and it was really good. I'm really proud of Pauly. He really killed it. It's sort of a comeback performance. Nobody's seen Pauly in a while, and he's just amazing.
I love Pauly, man.
We did a movie about essentially it's about a guy living in a guest house, and this couple buys the house, tries to get him out, and he won't leave. So it's like War of the Roses, but we did it. Sam was a great director. It was a wonderful producing experience for me. But my guy Scott Clayton helped finance that, and he's out of Australia. And the reason we even knew each other was because of this other script I'd written called The Blood Spoon Council. Now, what that script is essentially about a group of serial killers, of hunters of serial killers, led by a mastermind profiler, one they call a 1%er profiler, that goes out into the world, identifies, snatches, executes serial killers, and delivers them to the doorstep of the FBI. And so the FBI is covertly looking for them and can't let the fact that they are out there murdering U.S. citizens at random get out, because it would be way too bad, because once people found out that they were serial killers, they might be like, just like Boondock, aren't they doing your job for you? Aren't you guys supposed to be doing that?
And now you have the FBI pissed off at you as well.
Extremely dark thing. And I put in about 2 years of research into serial killers before I put pen to paper on it with my buddy Chris Lassiter, who helped me in the writing duties with it. But as soon as it hit this wonderful company called Grindstone over at Lionsgate, they were like, get in here. Turns out, again, these were fans of mine. These guys had gone through other companies, and while Boondock was happening, they were keeping an eye on it. They were saying things like, we got to get a movie with this guy back in the day. So when I got in there, I realized they told you, they give you these stories. This is how your film affected me. One of them was a young guy who I got in college. One of them was already in the business over at some huge company that escapes me now. Right. The other one was this, they all had their Duffy story, and they all threw them on me. I was like, this is great. And then they were like, we read the script, and oh my God. And they put me right on the conference call with Clayton. Here's the guy, money guy. We want to get moving on this right away. Now, this is how, hard these things are to put together. You'd think you'd have a well-heeled company like that, willing to pick up the domestic rights for however many million, a financier coming in for all the rest of it that they've worked with on a bunch of other movies. You think this is going to get done quickly. It doesn't. You know, until all the lines that are dotted are signed, you got nothing. But here we all made the college try, and now we're trying again during COVID because there's a potential opportunity in Australia. But we're trying to get that one off the ground. That's one of those, you must have it too, like that project, your little.
Oh, I've got a couple.
Yeah, I spit shine it every now and then, pull it out, update it when it needs to be. And now we've got some opportunity to potentially pull one off, because really the story is a cat and mouse game between the mastermind profiler for the council and this kid that the FBI brings in, who is also a one percenter, who doesn't really like the idea of what these guys are doing, but is so curious about this guy. You know, who's not going to be? They're like, he's like, these guys have pulled down 7 serial killers in the last 5 years. You guys get like what?
A decade.
And he has to virtually walk through the front door. You really want to catch these guys, kind of thing. So it becomes a really, really awesome to me. One of the more well-researched and exciting projects, as long as we can find people that can deal with the darkness, because you don't do Silence of the Lambs, without Hannibal Lecter, and you don't give Clarice a dog to make her more sympathetic. You gotta go there with stuff like that. And these days, there's kind of the real violence and the real darkness. They're kind of pulling back on that now, and I think it's affecting storytelling in the industry, and I fucking hate it.
To watch the rest of this interview, head over to indiefilmhustle.com.